of the Chargers' top 8 offensive players in terms of scrimmage yards last season are no longer on their roster. The Chargers' top 2 receivers at the moment, Joshua Palmer and their first-round pick last year, Quentin Johnson. So, Boog, you concerned about what Justin Herbert has around him on that offense now with the new head coach and all that jazz?
No, I'm not concerned about him because, like, when you look at Jim Harbaugh, I truly understand who he is. Let's go back to when Jim Harbaugh was at Stanford, had Andrew Luck. They ran the football, the offensive line, the play-action pass. He protected his quarterback. Let's fast forward when he was with the San Francisco 49ers and Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. They ran the football. They formationed you to death. They were physical on the line of scrimmage. Fast forward again until he's at Michigan. J.J. McCarthy, who I know Dan thinks is going to be a top 15 pick. They ran the football. They protected the quarterback, the offensive line. They were physical. So regardless of who the quarterback has been, Jim Harbaugh has a certain style that he wants to play. Now, sure, they need to upgrade on the outside at the wide receiver position. They are probably, in my opinion, they should take a tackle early on in the draft if they're going to stick and pick right there. But from a schematic standpoint, I never concern myself with Jim Harbaugh and the quarterback or who's around the quarterback because the style of play with Jim Harbaugh, regardless whether he's had a generational talent like Andrew Luck, whether he's had Alex Smith or Colin Kaepernick or J.J. McCarthy, the style of play, especially with Greg Roman, has always been the same. And I don't think that's going to change right now, even though he has Justin Herbert.
Dan, it's the 5th overall pick, by the way. It's a really interesting point in the draft when you get there. Are you smiling about something?
I mean, you could lock McCarthy in for a top, 8 pick, Boog. Scratch top 15. That's a lock, that J.J. McCarthy. Here's my pushback. I'm concerned about this year. I'm not concerned about the long haul. We knew that the Chargers were going to have to remake their roster. But we're talking about essentially journeymen tight end that are good players, not great. A project at wide receiver that's left over. Palmer, who's had some moments. And then Gus Edwards, who has been like the number 2 back in Baltimore. This is a depletion of talent. My pushback to you is this. All those teams that you mentioned quarterback-wise, Stanford was loaded with talent. The 49ers were loaded with talent. Michigan's got like 100 kids going to get drafted this year. So the talent has been taken away from the Chargers. Long-term, they'll be fine. This year, I do think there's going to be moments of struggle.
Yeah, there could be some moments of struggle, Dan, but I think when you look at the offensive coordinator in Greg Roman and that mix with Harbaugh, we know they are going to protect this quarterback and not have to make him throw the football 45 or 50 times. You saw what they did at Alabama Pro Day today. The Chargers offensive line coach spent a ton of time with J.C. Latham, that massive right tackle. I can see them taking J.C. Latham, putting him with Slater, and now you have bookend tackles because we are going to run the football, we are going to play action pass, and I'm going to ask this quarterback, I don't want you to be Superman for 50 plays and throw the football. But if I give you 25 to 30 throws, can you be Superman within the offense? I think that's the style that they want to play. Because this Justin Herbert and drop back and throw it 50 times, what has that gotten them so far? Even with all the talent they've had, what has that gotten the Chargers so far? So I think it's time for a change of aura, change the playbook, change your mindset in Los Angeles right now. And I think Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman are going to do that.
And they'll look for players who fit what they want to do. There's no question about it. In the draft, they could stick at that number 5 pick and take an impact guy. But that's also a spot, guys, where teams are eyeing for potential trade-up. The Chargers need a lot of help on this roster. They've seen a lot of guys go out the door so far this offseason. So if you're a team that's looking to go up and get that, 3rd or 4th quarterback in this year's draft, that 5 spot, depending on what happens at the 4, could be up for grabs if the Chargers decide the right move is to move back and amass more picks.
You're talking about